allow that wondrous presence to fill our very being. As we breathe in and breathe out, we allow our bodies to relax back into that sanctuary, back to the place where all the cares of the day vanish for the time being. They go back to the nothingness that they truly are. And we become aware of the extent of our sanctuary that each of us carries within and without. I read a quotation this week. It says, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. And we realize that actually is strength. It's strength when we know who we are, when we know the truth of our being. We are filled with strength of God, the power of God, the light, the love. We are the expression of God. And when we know the truth of our being, we allow that truth to shine through us into our world. And we would see it reflected in everyone that we meet. Whether it's on the road, in the park, on the television, or on the radio, online, around the world, and in our homes. The truth of our being is that we have the courage to stand and be seen as who we truly are, gifted beyond belief in all manners of reality and spirituality. We are so grateful. And we acknowledge this blessing as we enter into the silence. We are so blessed. When the world tries to tell us who we are, remember that you are the only one who gets to decide. Your identity isn't determined by blood or by names on documents or by others' expectations. It's shaped by the choices you make, the love that you give, the truth that you're brave enough to face, the promise to be honest with yourself and others, and seeing yourself for who you are. And knowing that no matter what you find out or know about yourself, know that you are truly, truly loved, truly blessed with all that you have need of or want. For all life is in divine order. And as we return to this time and this place, we know how blessed we are, and we are truly, truly grateful. And so it shall be, and so it is.
Okay, so today we're turning inside out, which doesn't really sound like a good thing now, does it? I don't know. When I was thinking about this whole month of being independent, and you'll notice if you look at the way that the top line is written, it's in hyphenated dependent, not independent as in standing on our own with no one and nothing to help us. The best possible life I have ever lived is when I have taken the time to be awake and aware of the fact that the quality of my life is dependent upon my realization that I am within God. That there's no separation. You know, it's funny, I've shared this before, and darn it, if I would have thought of this before this very second, I would have brought pennies up here this morning, because I have them in my office. But it's been a repeating pattern in my life. Pennies have been a repeating symbol in my life, and it's been a repeating pattern in my life to when I find pennies on Heads Up, you know, you think, woohoo, yay God, I got a message. And if you look at what it says on the front of a penny, it says, "In God we trust." And yes, you know, I know there's a lot of, I need to take a breath, maybe you don't, but I need to take a breath, because right now there's been a lot of energy around church and state and weaponizing Christianity and all sorts of hurtful things being done in the name of Jesus, who would be just absolutely inflamed. You thought he turned over the tables in the temple at one point. Can you imagine what he would do with some of the things that are being done in the name of Jesus and of Christianity today? But in God we trust. I say it a little differently when I pick up those pennies and when I look at our currency and when I look at anything that has that reminder to me, instead of in God we trust, for me it is in God we trust. Not as some outside deity, not as some super being sitting on a cloud somewhere manipulating things in my life to either, you know, gift me with things or test me with things, but as this godness, this source energy, this overarching thing that we are all within, universal law, source, creator, whatever it is that you would choose to call it. Some people have funky feelings and baggage around the word God. Some people don't even want to be phrasing it that way. Oh, it's divine creator. I remember when Unity went to the oneness languaging. When I was a little girl in Unity, we would say He. We did. When I was a little girl, God was He. And as we grew and evolved in our belief system and in our learning and in our knowing of the allness of Godness, well, then it was Mother, Father, God. And we went through this period where everybody, boy, it kind of threw prayer chaplains for a while because everybody wants to pray perfectly right. Knowing there is no right or wrong way to pray, there are more and less effective ways of praying, but there's no right or wrong way to pray. But boy, as a prayer chaplain, you'd start out with "Dear God" or "Dear Lord" or and then you'd, I did it wrong. You'd get this thing going, Mother, Father, God. But we were still calling to something. We were still praying to something outside of ourselves and needing this way of opening the door between me and God, because there was somehow still this separation between me and Godness. And many of us in many Christian traditions are taught that there is a separation between us and God, that we must be worthy, that we must, let go of sin, that we must heal in some way or be better in some way in order to be worthy of being loved by God. God doesn't love. God is love. So it's so far beyond something we could ever be excluded from. Ooh, it gives me goosebumps. There is no exclusion. We do that in our humanness. There's no little child that ever looks at another little child with any limitation on the love they would give them until we, in our separate humanness, teach them there's some people you should love and some people you shouldn't. Right? That's taught. That is learned behavior. That is not the way we come out into this world of being. We love everyone and everything as a child. So if we could just stop learning those behaviors, that would be really amazing. If we could just stop gleaning onto this belief system that says that God is somewhere out there and that we need to reach for that Godness. In God we trust. We sang that song this morning, "Open my eyes that I might see, open my ears that I might hear." But what a wonderful statement. Gosh, if I could just, in times during the day when I feel a little stressed or a little put upon, maybe that's the song I need to start singing. Take a pause. And I know a lot of us have shared that, we'll be in the middle of the week and we'll be hearing, "Oh, my soul is welcome here," or, "I'm in the right place at the right time." These things stick with us because they are pieces of truth that we can carry with us in this beautiful melody that can help to remind us. What do we need to remind us? Because in truth, there's no God out there that isn't already in here. We are breathing, moving, living in God. We have our beingness within God. We're made of God stuff. And so knowing that God begins for us in here, that God guidance, I love it. I've shared before a few times that, a quote from one of our co-founders, Myrtle Fillmore, when she said, "Prayers aren't sent out at all. Where would you send them?" And I remember the first time I read that, I thought, hold up a second. All my life I've been praying to God. All my life I've been praying asking for this guidance and feeling like it's coming from somewhere else. You're telling me that's not the case? How do I move into this paradigm that says when I pray, as it's, I feel my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper into my God. Because it always and ever is my God. It's your God. Your God to you is a little different than my God is to me. And guess what? God's big enough to take it. We don't all have to conform to this sameness, to this belief that God is this one being that moves and lives and has certain belief systems and frameworks that, if you happened to be born on another continent where there wasn't Christianity, guess what? You're not going to hell. Isn't it fascinating? I've thought about that so many times. All of these very limiting sects of religion that believe that it's their way or the highway. Well, what about people that are born on the other side of the road that have or the other side of the world that have no access to that belief system? Are they somehow less than? No. God is the allness of beingness. We are within that allness. We are this little individuation of us inside that oneness. It's not that God's out there somewhere and we're separate and we got to reach for it somehow. I used the example last week with the pitcher and the water and poured out the water and found all the little gel balls in there that you could see every eachness within. I got a picture from Robin yesterday who showed me her pitcher in her office that she's going to be doing that for her congregation this morning. And I said, I'm so glad that was meaningful for you. And she said, well, we also have a science teacher here. I had to ask somebody how you did that. I hate to tell you, it's the absorbent stuff in baby diapers. It's what makes baby diapers absorbent. It's the same thing that's those little gel balls. And it's all inside God, right? So if we want to pray asking for guidance, if we want to know what the next best step is, if we are feeling sad and empty and bereft or sick or alone, instead of feeling like, and this is a new paradigm that I'm inviting some of us into, instead of feeling like I need to reach somewhere for something or someone in order to complete me or make me whole or give me the answers, all we're ever talking to is God in here and saying, steer this, guide this, tell me where to go and what to do next here. Because I'm not getting my answers out there, I'm getting my answers in here. And then, please, if we're beseeching and asking for anything, allow me the bravery and the guidance to follow what I know in here when I open my eyes, when I line up with my divinity, and when I know that it's steering from in here. Because that's the thing. If we can live a life inside out, yeah. Just if we can think about it not in the, feeling like, I know there's been times I've said, I feel like I'm turned inside out, and that would be a bad thing. If we can begin knowing that our Godness is right here, right now, always, every second, every millisecond, every breath, every crisis, every question, our Godness is right here. And it's whispering from the inside out. Sometimes it shows up as a health concern. And it just keeps going, hey, you don't feel good. Hey, something's happening here. You're having shortness of breath. You're really, really tired. You're needing some medical attention. And sometimes that persistent loudness gets louder and louder and louder inside until we can't ignore it. Again, it's coming from in here. to have the bravery to say, I'm a little scared, I don't know what's going on. Can I get a little help? See, because that's when we can reach a hand out and say, I need you to go with me somewhere. Or I need you to have a discussion with me about something. Or I would really appreciate it if you would hold this situation with me in prayer. See, we're in God, and right now in this room, and right now virtually, I made a list last week of all the people that were in the room so that I could say hi to everybody. And it's on my desk, safely there at home. So, hi everybody. Yeah, I mean, I know that, Dave and Katrina are there, and Mar is there, and Terry is there, and Deb is there, and I know there's so many of our beloveds there, and thank you, we love you, and there's so many more, and please don't get mad at me if I didn't say your name. And we are all sharing. There's so many that share. Tina said it last week, and we had the most beautiful gift after last week from someone who is tuning in virtually. People think, oh, if you're not in this room, you don't contribute to this community. Yes, our online community are vital members of this community. We have various ways that we connect with them and stay in touch, and they support us financially just like the people in this room do. So we have a community that spans many states of consciousness and of united. But that's it. Again, that's back with that oneness. Wherever we are inside God. And we have this community of all of us that when we're saying, you know what, I'm having a little problem here, remembering my divinity. Or you know what, I'm expressing, I don't feel well, or I'm injured, or something has happened. That's what we're here for, to be the hands and the feet. That's what we're here for. That's why we come here. That's why we spend our time and our energy and we share our bounty with this community so that we can reach out into this community in financial ways, in energetic ways, so that we can help our world around us as our world around us helps us. And it tells us what's happening out here, but it's not the truth, capital T truth, of what's happening. We get all these little indicators. We get an illness that pops up that asks us to go to a doctor so that we might get in touch with what's going on in here. Or it pops up as a relationship ending or beginning, or someone graduating or moving into a new home. Our wonderful Krista and Christopher and Casey and their family, they're not here this morning. She texted me this morning and said, we won't be there today because a tree fell on our house. No one is injured. Everybody is okay. And the structure of the interior of the house is fine, and their porch is trashed. And they're just getting ready to buy a house. I don't think she would mind me selling that. And, in Unity, we always look for signs everywhere for what we're being told. And I'm like, I guess it's time to leave. Maybe that's the house itself going, yeah, go ahead, go. It's fine. But in God we trust. When we bring that inside knowing that everything is rooted in here, that our decisions come from here, we're not praying to a God out there to do something, although the God in here may move us toward asking for help from a friend. That's part of it all, right? And that's what we're here for. That's one of the biggest blessings of spiritual community, is to be sounding boards for one another, to be able to be in community with everyone, that when the bottom falls out of our life, we have somewhere to go. The last Unity community that I was leading in, we would have people disappear for extended periods of time and then suddenly show back up, and we'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. And they would say, well, yeah, I was going through something. Now, where I understand and feel that, and we need to process and we need to go through what we need to go through in authentic ways. My goodness sakes, one of the first things I do when the stuff hits the fan is call for prayer. And that's kind of a muscle we've got to develop, right? Because one of the first things that goes in crisis is our breath. We forget to breathe. And we tense and everything goes in here. We can't think. Our blood system constricts. Everything. One of the first things to do is breathe. And while you're breathing, just remember God is there in that breath. One of the most beautiful things to know in the middle of a crisis or in the beginning of a crisis is in the very breath I am breathing God. God isn't just here. God's the fabric of the being that I am within. So I can take this vehicle that I'm walking through this life with, and I can live directed from center to circumference, not from outside in. Not letting that thing that happens in front of me change the knowledge that I am rooted and indwelling in God, and everything springs from the decisions I make knowing that. When we can live from center to circumference, everything out here changes. Everything can become a lesson or an opportunity. My whole day yesterday was completely different than it was supposed to be because somebody needed something and there was no ability to get it where I was in Okeechobee, so we ended up driving back here to Sebring and spending a lovely day discovering a new Chinese restaurant in Avon Park and all this good stuff. And I kept thinking, because this is someone, I know that when crisis happens, I go into, hey, it's all here for a lesson, let's just flow with it and see where it goes. Not a lot of people I know live like that, right? And so I can walk around being calming people down a lot of times, and I have the great blessing of having someone new in my life that lives that way too. And so the attitude when everything fell out of the bottom and no, John still hasn't left yet. But it's because of a gas leak in the van that he couldn't leave because of. So, and maybe they're still dragging feet, but he's leaving this week. And the whole thing yesterday was to get a specialized tool that apparently no one in Okeechobee or Highlands County has, but Amazon does. And so it was this journey through that, and to have someone else who said, we needed an adventure today, let's just do this. That's so lovely. Yes, Tom? Where did you put the hole in the In case you didn't hear that, those of you especially online, Tom wanted to know where I poked the hole in his gas line. And Dave said it too. I swear I'm not sabotaging this. We have laughed a lot about those, saying it again. When life continues to put these little obstacles in the way of where you thought you were supposed to go, what you thought you were supposed to do. I never would have met this gentleman if his life was in normal mode, because he would have been in Tennessee in April. He had to have knee replacement surgery, and so he was here. So we got to meet. He's been supposed to leave for almost a month now, and every time it's been nope, not yet, nope, not yet, and we get to spend a little more time and learn a little more about one another and be on a little bit of a different space before he goes. And yesterday we got to spend the whole entire day together till 9 o'clock last night trying to iron out these details and move forward with these things, and it's been a really beautiful, beautiful gift. And he's got to go because he has things in Tennessee he has to do. So life hands us these possibilities to know that no matter what it is that shows up, a gas line leak, and no, there's no hole in it, I swear. the maneuvering of moving things, the tree that falls on your house in the morning. When these things are happening, they are invitations to remember we are in God. When we are in the awareness of God, we trust. So the next time you look at a penny or a coin or a bill and you see that in God we trust, I welcome you into a deeper relationship with that. That knowing that this currency is only an outward example of the energy of supply. That if we are struggling with money, if we are struggling with our relationship with money, we are invited into a deeper relationship with the energy currency, the currency of prosperity, the currency of flow, the allowing it to pass from us to someone else and someone else again so that flow continues, the movement of spirit that shows up in ways we do not anticipate and often don't understand. That if we can allow, that if we can live from our God center outward into this world, knowing that whatever shows up here has a place of healing and love and acceptance and growth in here, it changes our trajectory. We know for sure that life is good, that it is for us, even in the midst of something that is not fun to go through. We need a new adventure today. Let's let it be whatever shows up. And let's be God in this world. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Please visit www.unityofsebring.org for more information, to submit a prayer request, or to donate to our ministry. We hope to see you again very soon.